If you're watching this, there's probably a good chance you're thinking about moving to the Seattle metropolitan area. Now, I've made videos previously on my channel here on what the cost of living is here over in this area through real estate and other, daily things you're going to be paying for. But what I haven't really talked about are some of the hidden expenses here in Seattle Metro. So on this video, I'm going to go over 4 hidden expenses you should be aware of before you move to this area. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. People just like yourself from YouTube here have reached out to me when they're looking to move over this way and purchase a home in the greater Seattle area. I am an active real estate agent over here, so if you're planning to move over here and need some help with that home purchase and finding the right place to live, feel free to reach out to me here at my info. But like I said, on this video, I'm gonna go over 4 hidden costs you should be aware of when you move to this area. Maybe things that you aren't thinking about that you might want to budget for when you're figuring out, if you can afford to live here and what it's going to take to live here. So the first thing that I want to go over here is air conditioning. This might not be something you've thought about much, as maybe you're coming from an area where pretty much every home has AC. Well, here in the Seattle area, that is far from the case. In fact, we are one of the least air-conditioned metro areas in the entire US, and by a wide margin. You can see here on this graphic, 44% of homes here in Seattle have AC. Now this data might be a little bit old, and I would say that this number is over 50% now, or getting close to it. With the amount of homes that I go in and see and work with clients, I do see a large increase in the number of people putting air conditioning in their home, but we're still way lower than what most metropolitan areas are. So if AC is going to be something that's really important to you to have in your next home, you might need to budget for that to put it in yourself. Now, the way we want to think about this is there's really 2 main types of heating systems here in the Seattle area. You have forced air, which is where you have ductwork going through your house, usually in your crawl space. You've got an electric or a natural gas furnace, and it's pushing your heat through that ductwork. It's called forced air heating. The second side of that is what you've got baseboard heating or electric wall insert heating. This is the least efficient route to go. You're gonna find this on older homes. Rarely are you ever gonna find this on a newer home, but you're gonna find it on older homes. A lot of homes built in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, even 80s. You're gonna find some of these baseboard units, which are, like I said, less efficient, and they're individually zoned. So you have a thermostat typically for each baseboard. So each bedroom or each room in your house, you're gonna be able to control the heat differently based on that individual thermostat, versus the forced air system like I talked about. You've got your main thermostat in your home, like a Nest thermostat or something like that, and you're controlling the heat for the entire home. So taking these 2 examples, there's a couple different ways you can go about putting air conditioning in your home. If you have the forced air system, like I mentioned, you already have the ductwork through your house, you can plug in an air conditioning unit or a heat pump into your existing ductwork. And there's obviously plenty of HVAC companies around here that provide this service, and the expense is just going to depend exactly what you're doing. If you're going air conditioner or you're going a heat pump, which does both heat and AC, and your house specifically, the size of the home, what type of system you're going to put in. I've had clients do this where they've already got their forced air heating system and they want to add AC. Anywhere from $8,000 to $15,000, really just depending on what they're doing. I'm sure you can get more expensive than that as well if you've got a really large home and need a really robust system. But on average, I see anywhere from $8,000 to $15,000 is what my clients are doing when they're adding air conditioning to their existing HVAC, their existing forced air system. Now the other side of that is if maybe you bought an older home and it's just got those baseboard heating units like I talked about, not very efficient at all. A couple routes you can go if you're going to add AC. One, you could still go that HVAC route. You'd have to add ductwork through your entire house, which I imagine would get very expensive. Never got a bid for that before because I know that cost would be astronomical if you're adding in a forced air system. The reason for that is because there's a great alternative. The great alternative is called a ductless mini split system. They're actually doing this in a lot of new construction homes that I've seen lately. It's very efficient. It might be the most efficient system. It's easier to install, and it's a really effective system. It's both heat and AC. This is actually what I did on my home. I own a home that's a 1964 built home. And, we wanted AC. It was a necessity for us. 2 kids. My wife was pregnant last summer. and we were not going to go through another summer without AC, so I decided to put it in. Now on this ductless mini split route, there's two ways you can go. You can go the way of installing it yourself. If you're relatively handy, they do make systems where the AC lines come pre-charged, so you don't have to have an HVAC technician charge the lines for you. They come pre-charged, shipped to your house, the entire system, and you can install it yourself. So this is what I personally did on my home last year, installed it myself. I spent about $5,500 maybe on materials, a little less than $6,000 on materials for everything. Installed the whole system on my house, ran all the lines through the wall, everything like that. It is a bit of a project. It's going to take some time, but if you want to go that route and a more affordable route, you can certainly do that. The name of that system is a Mr. Cool Mini Split. It's the DIY specific system that you can do yourself and is gaining a lot of popularity. If you want to go the other route and you just want to hire a company to do that, again, plenty of HVAC companies that hire or that install these ductless mini split systems in your home, and you can go that route. I've had clients get bids, anywhere from $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 to get these systems put in. But it's an option. If you don't have forced air already in your house and you've got this old baseboard heating, you can do this. And then with this, obviously, now you don't need these baseboard heaters. Because this mini split system is both heat and air conditioning, you can get rid of those baseboard heaters and have much more efficient heat on top of the AC. So I know a lot of people that don't have AC in their home and they're not really worried about it. They're fine going through the summer. Personally, it was something we wanted and we really felt like we needed. The great thing about this area is it's not Texas, you're not gonna have stretches or very often where temperatures are gonna get upper 90s into over the hundreds and you absolutely have to have AC. It's a non-negotiable. It's not like that around here. We're gonna have stretches where you're gonna get into the mid 80s or 90s and you're gonna be on the edge of, ooh man, I wish I really had the AC right now, but do I wanna spend the money and do it for a few weeks out of the year where I feel it's really necessary? That's where some people say, no, I'm all right. I'll survive those few weeks in the 80s and 90s and I'll be okay. Personally, we wanted it in our house. It's a luxury that you can have and is really nice to get through those stretches. But that is one common thing when people come over here, they don't realize how many homes, when they start shopping for homes, they don't realize how many of them don't have AC. So budget that in, think about that when you're coming over here if that's a necessity for you. All right, unexpected cost number 2 is toll lanes. Now, depending where you're coming from, maybe you're coming from California or somewhere where toll lanes are common on freeways and bridges and highways. We have some routes around here where there is a toll to use that road. So there's a few different, most common ones, mostly used ones that you should probably know about. One of them is called the 520 Bridge. This takes you from the north side of Bellevue to the north side of Seattle, where University of Washington is. There are 2 bridges to get from Bellevue to Seattle. One bridge is on the south side, which is called I-90. It's not a toll bridge, so you can still get over from Seattle to Bellevue over the lake without paying a toll. You just have to take the I-90 bridge, which can, at times, get more backed up and take longer with how bad traffic is around here. A lot of people opt to go on the 520 bridge. Usually a little bit quicker, depending exactly what areas you're going to and from, but usually a little bit quicker on average, less traffic on that bridge. You're gonna pay to use it. It's gonna be anywhere from $1 to $5 each way, right? So it's not insanely expensive. You can have your good to go pass right on your window, so you don't have to worry about paying the bill every time it comes in the mail, and you get a little bit of a discount if you have that good to go sticker with the barcode, so you just get scanned when you drive by and they charge your account. So it's kind of a hands-off process. You don't have to worry about it, but you are going to pay to use it. One of the second most common is the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. This brings you from Tacoma over to Gig Harbor in the peninsula. This is far south of Seattle, but there's plenty of people that live down here as well, and people I've helped move down here. This is the Seattle metro area. This bridge, again, like I said, takes you from Tacoma to Gig Harbor. You're only going to pay it one way going into Tacoma. And it's usually going to be anywhere from $4 to $7. Again, these fees depend on the time of day you're going. If you're going in the worst rush hour traffic times, it's going to be the more expensive end. So just keep that in mind. Third most common, or really the most common toll that people use, this is one that I use all the time, is on our freeway called 405. Interstate 405, this is on the east side of I-5. So I-5 runs directly through Seattle all the way to Portland down to California. This is on the west side by Puget Sound, by the water. On the other side of Lake Washington, which divides Seattle and Bellevue, we have what's called 405. 405 brings you up to the Linwood area and then down past Renton. This kind of goes around the lake and gives you an option for another freeway that way. This entire freeway is not toll lanes. The lanes on the right side are not toll lanes, but you have 2 lanes on the left side. It's a 15-mile stretch of these toll lanes, which can cut 10 to 15 minutes off your commute. If I'm going down here in rush hour, I use this every time. I'll pay for it because it saves me 10 to 15 minutes, which to me is worth it, to not have to sit in bumper to bumper, and I can move quite a bit more easily. These fees are going to be $1 to $10 each way, again, just depending what time of day you're going. If you're going on the weekend or later at night, oftentimes it's free and the lanes just open up like normal. Or if you're going in rush hour times, it can be $7, $8, $9, $10 per way. And again, that also depends how far you're going. Are you using the entire 15 miles of this toll lane? Or are you using 4 miles of it? That factors in as well, how far you're going. But that's another expense. Some driving expenses are these toll lanes if those are roadways you are going to need to use. Hidden expense number 3 are car registration fees. This isn't really a hidden expense. Of course, you're going to have car registration fees wherever you live, but it's a bit more expensive here in Seattle than the national average. You can see here, Seattle is ranked the 10th most expensive state for car registration fees at $115 on average. This is going to depend where you live in the Seattle metro area. If you're living in a Seattle or a Bellevue or a more central city, it's often a bit more expensive, so it's going to depend a bit on your location. I live a bit further north than Seattle, in a suburb outside of Seattle. I think my latest registration fees were like $80. It's going to depend on your car as well, if it's a newer vehicle or not. So there's things that factor into that location and type of car, but on average about $115, and the 10th most expensive in the country, so on the higher end for sure. All right, in the 4th hidden expense, this might not affect you much, if at all, but it's a soda tax. So some people are surprised to hear that when you come over here, there's a soda tax. Now, this is only in the city of Seattle. This is not in the outlying suburbs. This is in the city of Seattle. They have imposed a 1.75 cents per ounce soda tax on the distributors. So it's on the distributors, but the distributors are then relaying basically that added expense onto the consumers, onto the end price of that soda. The whole goal with this is they're trying to discourage the purchasing of soda, as it leads to many health problems, as we know, with the sugary drinks. So that was their ultimate goal, and so they implemented that in Seattle not too long ago. So just know, if you're in the city of Seattle and you love sugary drinks, you love sodas and whatnot, you're going to pay a bit more for that than you would pretty much anywhere else. So just something to keep in mind. But these are really 4 of the hidden expenses that most people don't talk about when you're coming over here, and that you really should be aware of. That number 1 I talked about, air conditioning, is probably the most important that you need to consider if it's something important to you to have AC in your home. Think about that, and maybe plan to either shop for homes that only have AC, or plan to shop for homes where your budget will allow you to have the money to install AC yourself. So keep that in mind. But like I said, if you're coming over here, you're moving over to the Seattle metro area, you need help finding the right place to live and purchasing a home over here, feel free to reach out to me. I am an active real estate agent over here. Be happy to help you through that process. Thanks for watching this one.